Hi, this is Greg Koopman, SSIS 2016, Session 1, Part 3. In this video, we will discuss precedence constraints and briefly discuss trapping errors. Let's talk about precedence constraints, which is these arrows. These tell you how it routes through the package from object to object. But if let's say, for example, this object has an error in it, then it will draw an error, and you can use this to say if it's an error. This says only if it's success, the green. So when you double click on that guy, you'll see you have a constraint. You can use a constraint option or just an expression and constraint. So this says it has to be a success, and if this expression, which you can use your variables over here and draw up a thing like count greater than 0, then you can continue. If it fails that, it won't continue. So that's how it works. If you have two containers both going at the same time and they both connect to the same next container, okay, they both kind of connect to the next one, you can say, this says and, which means they both have to succeed before it can go to the next container. This one is or, which means at least one of them has to finish before it gets to the next one.
That make sense?
Yep.
So if you're loading in, menu items and discounts, but you don't want to go to the next step unless you get both of them,
Right.
then you would put
You leave it at and.
a logical and. So you
Right.
still draw the same green line, but both green lines have to
Have to
connect
be-
before it'll execute.
Have to have success.
But if you only care about menu items and not so much the other one, or if either one of them would be fine and you still wanted to continue just because you need to get a report out, then you
Right.
could do an or.
Okay.
And so you have several ways of, several gyrations of doing this. Expression plus an or constraint, expression and a constraint, etc., etc. Okay? And here's your constraint. So that's what these guys are for. And we'll see a little bit of that as we go through here. Okay, so we're going to move into the...
You can also have more than one line come up. So you can have one line that's what do you do if it succeeds. You can have another line that what do you do if it fails.
Actually, you have other successful
You can
lines
have other
too.
Successful lines.
Like here's another one. I could hook this up to somebody else. I hook this up down here. Right.
Right.
So
to
it'll
skip
really
a step.
confuse everybody at this
Well,
point.
it's actually going to do both because they're both saying if it's successful, go to the next container. So both next containers would execute immediately.
Yeah. I guess that other container would probably execute a couple times because let's see, did I get it? Yeah, I got it. Okay, so that's how that works. Now,
And you can, you can also draw those lines not just between containers, but like individual,
Right.
like the actions in the middle. These two, what are we calling these? These two, it's not a container.
there's a container and those are objects. I just call them objects.
Yeah, so we got the container
SSIS.
as a whole that's got a precedence. The two items inside of the container. Right now, there's no lines between them, so they're just going to execute parallel. But if you wanted to make sure that this one happened first, then you draw a line between those two.
Right.
That's right.
But both have to complete before
Yes, before the container is complete.
the flow.
Right.
Control flow continues. Now, you said that if a container had two control flows coming into it, that it could potentially execute twice.
Well, I drew one downstream a couple. I skipped a couple, right? So I had one that go down there. So as soon as it's finished, you go down there and hit that one. It's also going to the next one, and that one also connects to that one. So I'd say it might do it twice.
You wouldn't normally do that. But
Yeah,
just the way because he had drawn
Right.
two lines into the same box, they were both it was gonna execute on both pads.
So if you don't put a constraint, like check this flow in and check that flow in, then any flow in will cause the container to
Well, there's only one kind of flow in, and that's that line, that constraint.
Right, but you can have multiple flows into
A single
one
container.
yeah.
Yes, or object.
So you
Yes.
need to think through, what do you want the package to do, and you wouldn't draw lines that don't make sense.
Yeah, there's so much flexibility in this SSIS. I mean, there's infinite number of ways to combine all this stuff. But that's true. I mean, you have to think of what you want to do, and then try to use the objects, obviously, to make it work. Just like any programming type thing. But
Has a lot of workflow
That
elements.
green arrow
a
from
lot of workflow.
the
Lots.
first container to the next one.
Say that again.
The container, you know, where you showed us the air handling a while ago, where you clicked in between.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Where I pulled up the properties for this thing.
right. So it couldn't go on to the next container if it errored at that level. But
Yeah.
where would be, or why wouldn't you have something where it would send the email like you put in some containers?
Well, that's where we're going with the event handler.
Yeah,
We're
that's the
going
part
to
I
skip
told him
that.
to skip because that's.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
You need to
See,
understand
that was the
the
next
basics of
question.
how to
You
use
see,
the package.
Patrick? That was the next question.
You're
he
right.
had.
I'm sorry. I
just
messed up
kidding.
your.
That's all right.
Your flow.
Yeah, and just to be clear, when you're doing the precedence constraints with the arrows,
Yeah.
that's not the error handling. That's saying what do you do if there was an error, which
If
isn't
there was
exactly
an
the same as error handling.
Not
but
if it
error handling
leads to the.
they'll show you. You know
The
when
default
an
for error
occurs,
handling.
Other things happen.
Yeah.
The default for error handling, if there's an error, it stops. And it gives you an error. But we're trying to be handle it more gracefully, sending out an email, trying to collect what was the error message exactly. And there's ways to find it generically also automatically, but we've put a couple extra parts in it to try to trap the errors, collect data on the errors, sometimes continue even if there is an error, depending on what we're trying to do. So, but that's we're not quite there yet. But there's lots of flexibility there. But it is in here. That's what I've been working on a lot. Just trying to say no matter what error happens, how do we make sure what are we going to do from it? How am I going to be able to tell the administrators of the system where they can find it? Okay. Hopefully it's really easy. But sometimes I ran into cases where it wasn't so easy to find the error. You have to know a little bit more. So it's not perfect as far as error handling goes. If, for example, real quick, if I change if this is set up to run from customer master, and customer master has a column called name, and I change that, and I've created the package, it's already there with the word name in it. If I change that to name 2, okay, what happens in the package before it even starts the package, it validates all these different connections and all these other things and all the column names, all that. It will not even enter the package. So my events won't even trigger. So my email wasn't even being sent out. So the whole thing just dies a quick death right away.
Yep.
But I didn't have any way to handle it. So that was an error type that I needed to figure out how are these guys going to know if that error occurs? How are you going to know? And there's a whole way to do that. So process for that. This concludes this video. Thank you for watching.